So in this video we're looking at democracy and political participation. First thing to do is come up with a definition of democracy. We could spend loads and loads of time looking at this. However, the best approach is the one described by 19th century American President Abraham Lincoln that you can see in the picture there. It has three parts to it. The first part, government of the people. Here we're straying furthest from Lincoln's definition. We now expect that most citizens are able to participate in political activity. This doesn't merely include standing for elected office or voting elections, but also being active in parties or pressure groups, being aware and letting our political views be known. The second part is government by the people. This is a state of affairs where the people themselves make important decisions that affect them. This is known as direct democracy. We're looking at this in more detail later on. The next part, government for the people. This phrase suggests that whoever governs us does so in the broad interests of the people. So in other words, they're not governing in their own interests or even just one section of the community. They need to look at all sections of the community. So as an overall sort of viewpoint, you can say organisations that serve the interests of people, citizens might influence policy, and governments should be accountable. That's the definition of democracy. The importance of democracy then, this is obviously quite important. We're looking at it from a variety of different areas. There was a brief episode in the history of ancient Greece when democracy of different kinds flourished, but it had a relatively short life as a political system. One of the key things for democracy is that it establishes and protects freedom. Towards the end of the 18th century, a number of new philosophical and political movements developed, largely based on the idea that mankind should be free, both as individuals and collectively as nations. This was exemplified in the French Revolution in 1789, the bold attempt to free the people from the autocratic rule of monarchy. The next part then is democracy, which protects minorities. If a democracy is to be effective and enduring, the system must take into account these minority groups. This is often known as pluralist democracy. We'll be looking at that in more detail later. The next one, democracy controls government power. It's a well-established belief that power tends to corrupt those who wield it. Those who govern us are left to their own devices. They might simply claim increasing amounts of power and abuse their position. The next part, democracy encourages popular participation. It's commonly believed that tyranny can be prevented by ensuring people are able to freely participate in politics themselves. Democracy disperses power more widely. This suggests that when power becomes excessively concentrated in the hands of a small number of people, it's inevitable that power is denied to a wider range of the population. So this is all about power going to a number of different places. In terms of citizenship and political participation, citizenship, you can see the example here if you pause it and read through that. And then we've also got a difference between rights and duties of individuals when they have citizenship of a nation. So pause that, take a look at these particular areas. Then in terms of political participation, we know that this takes a number of different forms. In order of intensity, this includes being informed about issues, contributing to online forums, etc., etc. This is the sort of thing that we will do to be active in politics, to be politically active. However, there have been some issues with political participation, as we can see throughout the years. The turnout for elections has massively declined, and also in terms of party membership as well. Membership of all parties has massively declined as well. We need to question what's happening here with regard to political participation. However, we can also see that in terms of membership of pressure groups, which we'll analyse in more detail, this is much higher. We want to understand why that is. Political parties in decline, pressure groups on the increase. And lastly, we've also got the idea of a growth of e-democracy, e-petitions, online forums and blogs. We can see here that according to HM government sites, we've got particular issues and details as opposed to e-democracy, so details of online forums, and e-blogs, e-petitions sent out via pressure groups to try and change things. We've seen a growth. We'll analyse these in more detail as well.